Maggie has scanned an 8 by 10 photograph to her computer. She'd like to increase the size by 44%. And by increasing the size, she's increasing the area by 44%. So one thing to keep in mind when calculating this out is we have 100% of the photograph, which is of course an 8 by 10, and we're adding 44% more area to it. Okay, so this photograph will be 144% of the original size. This essentially is your area scale factor. As a decimal, it's going to be 1.44. So that's your area scale factor. Now, of course, if we were to figure out the linear scale factor, what you have to do is you have to take the square root of it. So 1.44, the square root of that is going to be 1.2. The reason why these scaled factors are different is the area scale factor actually deals with the area of the object, while the linear scale factor just deals with the lengths and widths of the sides. For C, we have to determine the dimensions of the enlarged photograph. So the original dimensions, if you recall, is an 8 by 10. We have to use the linear scale factor because we're dealing with the lengths of the sides to figure out the dimensions of the new photograph. So in order to do that, what you need to do is multiply both lengths that we have by 1.2. When you work that out, 8 times 1.2 is going to be 9.6, and 10 times 1.2 is going to be 12. So this new photograph is going to be 9.6 by 12. Indeed, the enlarged photograph will be printed at a digital print shop on a color printer. Assuming the white areas of the photograph will also use ink, calculate the area of the printer must cover by following two methods. So the first thing we have to do is use the dimensions of the enlargement. So area, of course, equals length times width. So you multiply those together, 9.6 times 12, and you should get 115.2 inches squared. If we use the original area, which was 8 by 10, and the area scale factor value, you have area is equal to length times width. That will be 8 times 10, which is going to be 80 inches squared. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by the area scale factor. So that's 1.44 times by 80. And what you're left with is 115.2 inches squared. Exact same answer as if you multiply the new dimensions. In E, Maggie must also produce a print whose area will be reduced by 25%. So we have to determine the dimensions of the print to the nearest hundredth of an inch. Alright, so first thing what we need to do is we have to figure out if we're going to reduce it by 75%, how big is this photograph right at the moment. Okay, so it's going to be an 8 by 10. We're reducing the area by 25%. So if this is 100% of the photograph, we're going to subtract 25%. That leaves us with 75% of the photograph. Turning this into a decimal, you have 0.75. This right here is currently your area scale factor. To turn it into a linear scale factor so we can use it for dimensions, you have to take the square root of that. Okay, so the square root of 0.75 is about 0.866, so on and so forth. Alright, you're going to multiply this linear scale factor by both 8 and 10. And we have to determine the dimensions to the nearest hundredth of an inch. Alright, so it's going to be 0.866 times by 8, and that will give you 6.93 inches. Same thing again with the other side. 0.866 times by 10, and that will give you about 8.66 inches.